It is a Huselos world. It's officially a Huselos world in the West Ham fans. Is it Huselos? Funny enough, everybody knows so little about Huselos. No one actually knows how you pronounce his name properly. Is it Huselos? Is it Julios? Nobody actually knows yet. But I'll tell you what, I like this secret agent thing going on, Gonzo. It's come out today that, by media abroad, first of all, etc., and it's filtered through, etc., that Pablo Fornals, the Villarreal attacking midfielder, 23 years of age, is supposedly our main target. And after it came out, the West Ham in the nose, if you like, had to sort of go and sort of confirm that actually, yeah, this is quite possible. First of all, let's talk about the player, first of all, rather than stuff around about it. Let's talk about the player. Have you heard of him?
Oh yeah. Paolo, the fornicator, Fornals. Everyone knows about him. Yeah, he's fantastic. Tricky little player, passer. No, listen, I don't know any more than anybody else. I was scrambling around. That's the wonderful thing, but obviously you want to discuss that in a second. I like the surprise. So, like everybody else, I was scrambling for YouTube because I'd never heard of him. He looks to be a player of some pedigree and looks to be a passer of the ball. It's quite funny actually. I was watching his footage. Sometimes he's done some he seems to be predominantly right-footed, but he's done some quite delightful passes with his left foot. But then every so often he'll do something ridiculous just to avoid using his left foot and contort the ball ridiculously with his right foot. He's a passer. 2 seasons ago, he was up there with the top assist getters in La Liga. A quieter season last season, it seems, which is why apparently the club are willing to accept less than his buyout clause.
Yeah, £25 million is the reported fee going about for him. I'd never heard of him really, but last night when all this was going on in the group chat, some of the boys were, I know a little bit about him, and putting in what they knew about him, and some of the other ones were again going, I'm going to go do a Gonzo if you like. I'm going to YouTube for a little look. They weren't calling it a Gonzo, but it's what I call a Gonzo.
Well, they should do. They bloody should do. Everybody should call it a Gonzo.
Yeah, it's a Gonzo. When you go on YouTube and have a little clip of some dubstep highlights of a player, that's a Gonzo. So they were doing a Gonzo, etc. I went for my stats and my stats only. I don't like looking at the video footage, etc. Stats are impressive as well. Like you said, it was a lesser season last season for him, but I'll tell you what, it was still, if that's his lesser season at the age he is, it's not a bad season. While you think, like, you've got to remember he's sort of like 3 years older than Declan Rice to put into context. He's not that old at all. He's 23 years of age. And he's holding his own. He's just been capped by Spain as well, so that's sort of putting him into the international setup as well. I think he's only got 2 Spanish caps, but that's not a bad thing when you look at the players he's up against to get to that squad. It's difficult. In terms of technical players, midfield is probably the hardest country to get into. Maybe France, but it's a very, very difficult space to get into. And the one player I do know from Villarreal that I've always liked is Santi Cazorla. You couldn't have a better mentor, really. I mean, could you imagine watching that guy and training every day, what he must do? And you talk about how he's been using his left boot. I wouldn't be surprised that Santi Cazorla's impact, if you like, because he was 2-footed. He was someone that could dink it in either way and stuff like that. If he's anything like Santi Cazorla, I'll be getting excited. Someone will let us know, I'm sure. But 25 million, I mean, this is where it gets a bit interesting, though. This is another change of style of midfielder completely. I spoke about in the last show, our centre midfielders, defensive midfielders. This is now an attacking midfielder. It's difficult to make sense of it a little bit.
Yeah, I think probably it's best if we lose not telling you what to say, but I mean, as West Ham fans looking at it, it's best if we lose the labels. We're not really looking for a defensive midfielder. We're looking for somebody for Mark Noble's position, as you have said before, to put Noble into Obiang's position. So it's going to be for somebody to play alongside Declan Rice. They're not looking for another defensive one that may be understudied. They got Sahcez there for that. That's what he's there for. What we are looking for is this. What I would have liked to have seen, as we know, a box-to-box energetic midfielder, but we need somebody who is more creative than Declan Rice. As somebody, we need legs in there. So while this lad might not be the big engine that gets back and forth, he can tackle a little bit. He is someone that is going to sit in central midfield. I think people are perhaps looking at it and trying to say, well, he's not a defensive midfielder. Oh, he's more of a number 10. It's Lanzini's position or it's Wilshire's position or whatever. I do think whoever we're looking for is for Declan Rice's partner in a 4-2 whatever formation you want to play ahead of it. That's what I think we're looking for there. That's what I think this guy is. And that's why when we spoke about whatever his name was the other day at Celta Vigo, we highlighted it, and I said I'd watched it, and I looked at how he was breaking forward, and that was really what was interesting to me. We don't want somebody to sit there and just sweep up ahead of the back four. I'm adamant about that. Someone's going to have to offer some goals, or if they can't offer some goals like this guy, you're going to have to set up a lot of goals. That's what Pellegrini will be wanting for central midfield.
Interesting. I guess it's all about how you look at it. I can see why he's going for another defensive midfielder to play alongside Rice. I think he's tried the defensive player in Rice in the passer and Noble and realised that maybe at West Ham you don't get away with that a little bit. There's too much for someone to do. So we actually need two defensive midfielders in there in order to get an extra creative one on there. Two different ways of looking at it, I suppose. And you can. This is what's brilliant about this window. We're guessing. We don't know. Yeah. I mean, under Bilic and under not so much under Boys, because he didn't have a transfer window. He had the January one, doesn't count. But under Bilic, you could sort of see what he was trying to do. You could see the targets he was going for. You could work out where he was going to go in the team and stuff. In this window, we haven't a clue. And I say we haven't a clue. I mean, everyone hasn't got a clue. We're all standing looking at each other thinking, what the hell is going on here? And it is fantastic. I'm really enjoying it. But, well, I can kind of envisage what your answers would be here. And a lot of people are saying, going for this guy, does that mean that Lanzini is perhaps on his way out with this contract thing going on, etc., etc.? Is Pellegrini maybe planning on selling him and bringing this guy in?
No, I wouldn't necessarily say so. No, it does bring up an interesting dynamic with Wilshere and whatnot. But I do think we have been one technical player too few in the squad, and you can't ever go into a season guaranteeing that everybody's going to be injury free. In fact, at West Ham, most people are probably going to be injured. So I do think we were one light. I do think we're going to expect to see this guy a little bit deeper. He's sometimes, from what I could gather, slightly. Sometimes they play almost a narrow three in midfield, and he plays wide of that narrow three. I don't know if we're going to start going towards that sort of formation. I'm not so sure. It's hard to say, but I don't necessarily think this guy is bought as a number 10. As I say, whether you think it's a defensive midfielder, whether you think it's box to box, whether you think it's creative playmaker with a long range of passing, whatever you think it is, I do think this guy, whoever we're buying to go in there, is going to be Declan Rice's partner, which is not something I see Lanzini as, if that makes sense. I think Lanzini is earmarked for further forward and or Wilshere.
I can't see Lanzini going. We won't get enough money for him. His value is quite low at the minute because of his injury, etc., etc. And Pellegrini will know. And I know people say his contract's up in a year, but even if I'm convinced we can flick the switch and get this 2-year thing added on. And if we do that, he's now got a 3-year contract. And if he's unhappy, he's unhappy. He's still tied down to 3 years. It enhances his thing. I wonder maybe if there's a player leaving, I actually wonder if it's Antonio. And this guy's coming in to sort of play up alongside Anderson, Lanzini, Wilshere, Yarmolenko. I wonder if he's actually coming in to play as that three of attacking midfielders. Or perhaps we're going for him instead of a striker. Perhaps he's going, you know what, bugger it. We can't get Maxi Gomez. I don't want another striker. If I can't get my main guy, you know what, I'm going to reinforce the midfield. We're just going to have to score more goals from midfield. So I'm going to need an extra player in there that can score, provide goals, and Marko Anavic is just going to have to be my number one. But I need to make sure I've got an absolute top-class attacking midfield in behind him. Because at the minute, I don't have that. I've got a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but let's get someone in to really beef it up. And I think it's just about opportunity. One thing is coming out, though, is that this is a Husalos signing, that Husalos has identified this guy. It's not Pellegrini, it's not the board, it's Husalos. And that's what makes me lick my lips a little bit, if you like. But let's talk about it in the nose then. X and Sean, very, very reliable people. A little bit behind on this one. Now, someone on West Ham Online, the forum, did sort of say last night that actually there's a Spanish player joining this week, didn't name him, and that's what he put out. And then all this has been coming out slowly last night. Then today, sort of X had to go find out, and Clark and Hugh had an article up saying we didn't want him. They've deleted it since, so they obviously then rang up and said, actually, no, turns out, I actually wonder if Husalos isn't telling David Gold, etc., who we're after. I actually wonder if our chairman are sort of second guessing a little bit. Because Clark and Hughes' sources are the chairman. They are the chairman. And it's mainly David Gold. So for them to put up an article saying our top source said we don't want him, and then they delete it, I almost think David Gold said to them, nah, we don't want him. And later on in the day, David Gold's actually found out that we do actually want him. He's had to phone you back, and it turns out I was wrong this morning. He is actually a target. But this is just brilliant. I love it. I think our in the nose have gone from leaking the news to confirming the news, and it's two completely different things. And I enjoy this.
Yeah, and thank goodness we're not part of that, because it's so hard to do. We just respond to the news, which is the easiest job, obviously. Which
we can't be wrong.
We can't be wrong, and it's only our own opinion, and we're happy to guess, and we're happy to not know, not in the nose in many respects. So yeah, I mean, the leak today was from Marsa, I believe. Now, often we'll hear a lot of the foreign leaks. We haven't really heard of them before, have we? Some obscure French website, this, that, and the other. Everyone's heard of Marsa. It's the biggest sports paper in Spain. So clearly that they're going to have to react to it. But it's been a long, long time. Even the small deals not finding out about the keeper, whatever his name was. Rodrigo, whatever his name. Roberto Smith. Nobody knew. He just signed. So this is more of the same. We had the same with Balbuena. We had the same with Dion. This is, as you say, people are responding to it, and it has to be a good thing, because it stops. It's like I said to you in a text message earlier. If this way of doing things stops people stealing a march and getting in ahead of us by nicking players, we've all seen it. I mean, there's been a couple of occasions when Spurs have gone in, and we don't want people to get in ahead of us. We need to keep it secret, get the deal signed, or at least get 80% of the negotiations done. And then the guy's on the plane on the way over, and we sign him. That's how it must be done. That's good for West Ham. That's healthy for West Ham. But you've got to keep a clear mind. We've said this from day one. Smoke and mirrors. Smoke and mirrors. They want to throw everybody off the scent. They don't want people to know. They'll throw, they'll throw a distraction this way. Well, like everyone looking over there. Well, actually, they do some business over here. That's what they want. It's always been clear. They want a midfielder. Label it as you want. They want a midfielder, and they want a big striker. And we've discussed who we want. Personally, I want Haller. I still think we're getting Maxi Gomez. I think we're getting Maxi Gomez, and we are buying decent money on a central midfielder. Pick your chosen flavour. Which one it is, I don't know. But I do think it's brilliant. It keeps us all guessing. And I like... The trouble is, I mean, I like what the geezer from Knees Up Mother Brown has said there, actually, a Spanish one, because that keeps you guessing. But, it can be any number of people. There's lots of players can be from Spain. It's like naming 20 people on a list. You throw enough, something's going to stick, isn't it? And I like not knowing. And I just think something's going to happen really quick. 2 or 3 days, bang, transfer, done. And everybody's happy then, thinking... It's a lot of parallels with last season, Geo. There's a lot of parallels with last season when we thought, when we bought 50 million, thought, oh, that's it. Is that it? We finished now? No, it carried on. I'm not saying we're spending 100 million, but it's all a surprise, and a nice surprise.
Indeed. I'm enjoying it as well. One other player we're being linked with is Ozan Kabak. He's a Stuttgart 19-year-old centre-back, and now he's got a release clause, 13.2 million. Another centre-back, Gonzo. I know we spoke about the striker and the midfielder. Centre backs are things we keep getting linked to. We've got Maripan is never going away. Boubacar Kamara from Marseille was linked to us, and now we've got another centre back. This centre back, Turkish centre back, won Rookie of the Year in the Bundesliga.
Rookie. Rookie. Oh right.
Basically,
Rookie of the Year would have been better, I think.
Young Player of the Year. So he won that award. Take it, you've never heard of him?
I've heard of Chewbacca as Wookiee of the Year, but I've never heard of this fella as Rookie of the Year. No.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go Gonzo on later.
I will. I'll be on there, mate.
Do you Gonzo defenders? Because I know you'll do it for the attackers to see the dribble and the pass and shoot. But can you do it for centre backs? I mean, surely nobody's made a video of Ozan Kabak's tackling and heading.
Oh, you'd be surprised if somebody can steal some footage, stick a dance tune to it, and make a couple of quid off the back of it by, I don't know how they copyright. I don't know how they do it without getting their channels pulled down. But anyway, someone have done it. I bet. I'm going to look.
Yeah, you're going to have to, because that's the only way you're going to find out about him. And just a sporadic link in a minute, but one or two top journalists is put out there. And the main thing is, the journalists I put out there is in Germany. Again, it's like Gonzo was saying earlier, it's their press that's putting out there exactly what we're seeing with Issa Diop, exactly what we're seeing with Balbuena, and exactly what we're seeing with Felipe Anderson. It's the other side of the deal that's putting this information out there rather than our side. The double deal has hit a brick wall, according to our side. As Sean and X this time has put out there that Maxi Gomez very much Pellegrini's number one, and he is still likely. However, Lobotka is the one that's a bit of a stumbling block because they don't value him the same as Celta Vigo do. And the double deal is looking like it's off, hence why we're now going for the Pablo Fornals, who is a different player to Lobotka, which makes it really interesting. over in Italy, AC Milan need to raise a little bit of cash, which means Frank Kessie is possibly on the move. Now, he's the one I'd like, actually, because I know a little bit about him. And I think he's got everything that we're looking for. But again, this is more about what AC Milan are doing rather than West Ham wanting him as such. Carlos Sahcez, you may remember him. He is a West Ham player. It's not someone we're trying to buy. We do actually own him. You just didn't see him very much. There's a little bit of rumours that we are looking at shifting him on in this summer as well, but he's not been linked to any club. It's just that we might be trying to get rid of him to a club. So more to come on that one possibly. Bad news for Gonzo, it's because Sanson is apparently not near the top of our transfer target list. He's quite low down, etc. So that one doesn't look too likely. But I've got something for the viewers in a second. But Gonzo, have you heard any more transfer rumours in the last couple of days? I mean, that's a lot of different transfer rumours because we do a video every 2 days.
Well, yeah, only that Medel is not coming in and Sahcez is staying. That's as I understand it to be. I'd certainly not that Sahcez is going anywhere. So, and that would make sense, wouldn't it? Because we paid him all last season. He's got another year on his contract. We don't have to go out and buy another defensive midfielder, and there's Declan Rice's cover allowing us to do the other thing. Other transfer rumours? No, I want to know what your surprise is for the viewers.
It's not a surprise, it's a thing. In the last video, a couple of people said, "Oi, I don't like searching for all these players. Can you do something?" So in the description below, if you have a look in the description right now while you're watching this, every player, there's a link to that player's profile on the Transfer Market website, which is a very reliable website. It gives you information, the profile, their age, a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So there's there for Pablo Fornals, Ozan Kabak. Gonzo will need to go and click on the Ozan Kabak one. Kessie, Maxi Gomez, Lobotka, everyone we've mentioned in this video, the link is there. I'll keep trying to do this for you, so you can all just click it and you can go have a read as well. Very good website. Anyway, that's it for myself and Gonzo. Drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. Gonzo's got his transfer video, which is more about Gonzo's wish list. Coming up in a few days. I've had a little sneak peek. It's looking quite good, actually. I'm half impressed. Only half, though, because I'm
one of your players is in there, mate.
Yes, one of my players. He's a bloody damn good player as well. So make sure you tune in as well. And subscribe if you're new around here. And myself, Gonzo, will see you in a little bit very soon. Ta-da!